Hi, I'm Melanie Teagarden, soap maker at Countryside Network. Today I will demonstrate a spiral swirl in both a loaf mold and a slab mold. This technique requires soap batter that stays at a thin trace for several minutes while you're pouring 4 or 5 different colors. So make sure that you follow a few different precautions to ensure that your soap comes out great. First, soap at a low temperature. I mixed my soap batter at about 110 degrees Fahrenheit, and by the time I was pouring into the mold, it had dropped to about 100 degrees Fahrenheit. This is a pretty cool temperature for soaping, but it helps to prevent acceleration. Second, I don't recommend taking too much of a water discount on this recipe. You can discount a little bit to prevent soda ash, but you really want most of the water in there so that it stays nice and liquid for you to pour. Third, do your research on your essential oils or fragrances. Either use something you're already familiar with or go online and do some research and see what others have experienced with that fragrance oil. You don't want anything that rices, you don't want anything that accelerates. If you follow these tips, you should have a really nice loaf of soap at the end. Thank you for tuning into Countryside Network. I'm Melanie Teagarden. Have a good day. Okay, today we will be making a spiral swirled soap 2 ways, in a loaf form and in a slab mold form. Suit up first. Don't forget your gloves and glasses. Make sure you will not be disturbed while making soap and that you will have a well-lit, well-ventilated place to work. For the 3-pound loaf of soap, first weigh your lye into a safe container, number 5 plastic or stainless steel for instance. Weigh your water into a separate container before pouring the lye into the water. Mix well so that there is no undissolved lye in the solution. Cocoa butter is one of my favorite luxury oils to use in soap due to its rich chocolate fragrance. If you prefer, deodorized cocoa butter will work just fine. The addition of a small amount of sustainably harvested palm oil makes for a hard, long-lasting bar of soap. Coconut oil also gives a hard bar of soap with big, fluffy bubbles. It also increases the cleansing properties of the soap. Finally, olive oil gives a silky, emollient lather that is very conditioning to the skin. A small amount of olive oil, about 2 tablespoons per container, was used to mix the mica colorants and remove all clumps. Now we are switching over to working on the spiral swirled slab mold. This is a 6-pound mold, so we used the same recipe as the loaf mold, simply doubling the measurements. Half of the resulting batter was then poured as a foundation for the spiral swirl. I'm only blending for a few seconds because I want a light trace for my soap batter. This will give me time to accomplish the pour technique. A quick stir of the foundation layer batter before pouring, just to make sure there are no lumps. This soap batter is already starting to set up slightly due to the addition of fragrance oil. Now the remaining 3 pounds of soap batter is equally divided among 4 containers containing mixed mica colorants and olive oil. In the time it takes to mix the colors into the soap batter, the pale green foundation layer will set up in the mold just enough to bear the weight of the additional poured soap batter. This is the pour technique. It's the same for both the loaf and slab molds. Pour circles in the center over and over until the mold is filled. Let's just speed this up a bit. Now get your chopstick ready. First off, we will swirl in a starburst pattern. This is a pretty effect by itself. Next, we begin the spiral swirl. This is the spiral swirl soap I made in the loaf mold. I wanted to show you the cut so you could see the lovely effects inside. This batch got a little bit hot in the mold due to the fragrance. There is some leakage of glycerin making the surface of the cut bars shiny. No problem. The soaps will reabsorb the glycerin over the coming days as the soap continues.